Wow, wow, wow. What a game that was. I don't know if my heart rate has calmed down yet since watching it. Following the horrible news about Kevin Keegan prior to the game, Newcastle United have just played the most Keegan-esque game I've ever seen, probably since the Keegan era. Newcastle United 4, Leeds United 3. That game had absolutely everything. I'm going to do the best that I can to try and remember it. My brain is an absolute scramble. But what did they say? Harvey Barnes, all he does is score goals. That's right. That's what he does. And I'm going to talk about Harvey Barnes in real detail in a second. Before I do, Ryan, smash that button if you haven't already. Subscribe, help get us to the next milestone. This is going to be a really enjoyable video because that was just a blessing to football. It really, really was. And if you're checking us out for the first time, smash that button, hang around a little bit longer. So let's get stuck in to the lineup then. We kind of got the lineup pretty much cock on in the preview, with the exception of Lewis Hall. I thought he may have rested Lewis Hall, and he didn't, which I'm glad he didn't, because I thought Lewis Hall was brilliant again tonight. So Lewis Miley continued at right back, didn't finish at right back. I'll talk about my favourite boy wonder in a second as well. Or what I'd like to refer to him as now is the fucking Swiss Army knife of footballer, because this kid could play anywhere. Mark said to me before, try him in fucking goal. He might do better than Pope and Ramsdale. What a player Lewis Miley is, by the way. Unbelievable. But we started this game. There was chance for Keegan, obviously, in the crowd, which we knew there was going to be with the dreadful news about Kevin Keegan, having treatment for cancer. I'm going to do a little separate mini video on Kevin Keegan because he means so much to me as a Newcastle fan. He's the reason I support this club, and I fell in love with this club as a young lad, and I wish him nothing but the best. And I've got a bit of a personal attachment to cancer as well, so I'll certainly be doing a little mini video on that. But we're talking about the game tonight. So there was the kind of encapsulation of the Keegan era in the opening kind of exchanges in terms of the crowd and everything. But it was very clear very early on that Newcastle didn't have a great deal of control in this game. Harvey Barnes was shoehorned out into the right-hand side, and he did his best. I thought he was grafting really hard early on. He was making some good runs. He was linking it well with Lewis Miley. Lewis Miley was pinging little balls over the top to him, and he was running onto them. Lewis Miley showing great control again on the ball and everything else. But Leeds really turned up to play. Leeds definitely turned up and showed up to play in this game, and they get the. I'm just looking at the goals here, trying to remember the fucking goals. There's been that many of them, isn't there? They get the first goal on the 32nd minute. Really, it was coming. There was huffing and puffing. They were getting in good positions. We weren't really doing a great deal. It was kind of a little bit back and forward. We had a couple of chances, and then they get the goal through Aronson, who I thought was excellent for them. He kind of runs forward, very unchallenged, puts a ball in the back of the net, and you're thinking, oh my God, what on earth is going on here? Newcastle United, what you're playing at? Shortly back into that game, up pops Harvey Barnes. All he does is score goals, doesn't he? That's all he does Harvey Barnes. Thank God Marcus put the goals on the screen. I'm looking at my phone as well at the same time, trying to remember them. But about 4 minutes later, Harvey Barnes gets into the box. It's a lovely bit of play. Gordon suddenly woke up in the game about half an hour into it. He didn't really do a great deal beforehand. He was frustrating me because he was dropping centrally almost as a second striker alongside Voltemade, who was a bit of a passenger tonight for me. Nick Voltemade, he does play a part in our equaliser, the first equaliser, that is. But Gordon was drifting more centrally. That was kind of winding him up a little bit, because I was thinking, what are you playing at, Gordon? Go wide, get wide. Because there was loads of time Lewis Hall had the ball. He was blasting down the left-hand side. And Gordon wasn't there as an outlet for the ball, and that was a real issue. But Gordon gets into weirdly enough, to the right-hand side of the box. Barnes peels off. Great movement from Harvey Barnes. Gordon fights for the ball, wins the ball back, comes to Nick Voltemade. It's a lovely little deft touch around the corner, which is what Voltemade is good at. He spent too much time dropping deep again tonight, and he wasn't high enough. But this was a time where he was high, and he flicks the ball across to Harvey Barnes, and it's a fucking beautiful finish. The kind of finish that Harvey Barnes does. He just doesn't think about it. He's so fucking clinical. Honestly, Harvey Barnes is so clinical. If Harvey Barnes was the captain of the Titanic, he would have cut through the fucking iceberg with a left foot shot, right foot shot. That's how clinical this lad is. And he gets us back into the lead, back into the game, 1-1. And you're thinking, great, come on, Newcastle, let's go for this. But Leeds didn't let up. Leeds responded really well after we equalised. They wouldn't let us breathe. The press was good from Leeds. They were on it. They were aggressive. Ampadu should have been booked about 19 times in the game, in my opinion. Did later on in the second half. But then the controversy comes from the second goal, which is the penalty that Calvert-Lewin tucks away. Now, it's really controversial. I thought the referee was really poor in large spells of this game, but Calvert-Lewin and Chow are kind of battling for the ball, and Chow was off tonight. Malik Chow has been superb since he's come to this team, but he was really off tonight. He looked leggy. He looked a bit He looked a bit uneasy. He looked a bit rattled. And, Calvert-Lewin's been in great form, and he's a bit of a shithouse centre forward, Calvert-Lewin, as well. So he's got a little bit of speed about him. He knows all the dark arts. And I think he was just a little bit, up for this tonight. Maybe because we didn't sign him in the summer. Maybe there was a little bit of added incentive to say, fuck you, Newcastle, I'll show you what you're missing. And he kind of nudges Chow. And Chow was on the way down, and his arm hits the ball, but he's on the way down. And you're like, what the hell's going on there? And then the ref gives a penalty, and I couldn't believe it. And they go to VAR, and they check it, and they say it's a penalty. And you're thinking to yourself, that's the harshest penalty I think I've seen all season. It bounces off his arm. How the hell? He's on the way down. If he didn't put his arm out, as everyone falls and you put your arms out, what's he going to do? Put his arms up in the air or put his arms behind his back and just kiss the grass? So I don't understand how that's a penalty. But Calvert-Lewin puts it away, and they're 2-1 up, and you're thinking, what on earth is going on here in Newcastle? Honest to God. Then we come out in the second half. And we're chasing. He makes subs anyhow. I'll give him that. I'll give him his dues for that. He takes off Chow, who's had a fucking mare. He brings on Sven Botman. It was good to see Sven Botman back. Team Livramento went in the right back. Lewis Miley went into midfield. One of his 3 positions he played tonight. Fucking hell, is it the Kama Sutra? Lewis Miley's got more positions than that book, I think. But he goes into midfield. And it's Lewis Miley that plays a massive part in the second equaliser. I mean, absolutely incredible. I remember all these shithouses saying Lewis Miley had no pace and all this stuff, but he suddenly developed pace. I don't know whether they've worked in his running style or he's just potentially grown into his body as a fucking 19-year-old lad who's still evolving as a fucking man. And he chases the ball, and I don't know how he keeps it in. He manages to keep the ball right in the corner and gives it back to Bruno Guimaraes, who is growing back into the game now. Sandro Tonali had went off, maybe a little bit. He started to kind of have little glimpses of Sandro, but then he was off in most of the half, but little glimpses of him chasing back, starting to get a little bit more into the game. But then he was taken off. Maybe, I don't know how it was resting him or whatever. But Joe Linton was kept on, even though he'd been booked for a ridiculous dive. And, he was looking at get sent off. Probably Joe Linton. He was in one of them moods where he was just going to fucking actually guillotine somebody and cut them into 3 pieces. But Lewis Miley does amazingly well to get the ball back. And he just knocks it to Bruno. And Bruno hits the most delicious outside of the foot cross. It was so filthy. It could be on Pornhub. It was that fucking good. It really was. And Joe Linton would have had it at the back post. Joe Linton's focusing on doing what he does best, and that's just disrupting teams, getting in the box. He looked hungry for it. Yeah, so Mark's getting excited in the comments. So we'll get there, Mark. We'll get there. So the header from Joe Linton, he puts it into the kind of far corner. It's an absolutely beautiful goal from Newcastle United, and that's 2s each. And you're thinking, right, come on, Newcastle, get back into it. And then we let Leeds back into the fucking game again. It's that guy Arneson again, and he puts it away. It's a little bit lackadaisical with Newcastle. He puts it away. He drills in the bottom corner. Then that's them kind of 3-2 ahead. And you're thinking, oh my God, what on earth is going on here? He eventually brings Wissa on to the game. I'm screaming for Wissa for fucking ages because Nick Voltemada was like a statue in Grey's Monument for most of the game. Really, really, I think that this game shows the lack of intensity and pace. This game was like a fucking basketball game end to end. And Nick Voltemada doesn't have the pace to be involved in a game like that. He really doesn't, in all fairness. He probably should have been hooked a lot sooner. But listen, the result at the end of it, we all know what happens, doesn't really matter. But he brings on Wissa. We start looking a bit more lively. We get our penalty, right? Which it's actually is Aronson again. Is it Aronson or Aronson? I don't know. The American lad. He's a good player, very talented player. It's a really, really good bit of business by Leeds getting him. And he jumps in the box from Lewis Hall, who was getting more and more into the game. And he puts his arm up. Now, he's kind of leaping out of the box, but his arm's in the box. It's definitely a penalty. Against Bruno Guimaraes puts it away for 3-3. And you're thinking, oh my God, what is going on here? The Ampadu's nicking the ball. They're pushing him in the back of the net. There's fucking the handbags at dawn. That's another reason Ampadu should have been booked again. I think it was about 4 or 5 tackles before that. We should have been booked. He should have been booked for that. So Newcastle are back in this game 3-3. And the commentators are screaming that they want a winner, and I'm thinking, my God, please let it be a Newcastle win. And I even said to Mark, I sent him a text and I said, if we win this game 3-2 or 4-3, I said, what a kind of fitting, tribute to the thought that, the thoughts and the well wishes of Kevin Keegan. And, Newcastle are smelling blood. They're going for that goal. They're going for the winning goal. Fabian Schär was excellent, put a couple of really good blocks. And I thought he had a much better game, Fabi. He goes for a tackle with Calvert-Lewin. I don't blame Calvert-Lewin for it. It's a real good tackle from Schär. Calvert-Lewin's weight falls onto him. It looks a real bad one for Schär there. I think he looks like he's going to have, like I say, knee ligaments for me, or a break or something. That looked really, really bad for Shea. Instantly, he was putting his arm up, wanting to go off. And what happens then? We make some substitutions. Jacob Ramsey's on, obviously Whistler's on, and Lewis Miley, once again, I even said to Mark, he's going to put Lewis Miley at centre half, isn't he? You just know he is. Lewis Miley goes back to centre half next to Botman. It looks like he's played there he played there for 10 years or something. He's putting in tackles, he's winning headers, he's knocking the ball, nice and comfortably between him and Botman. He's knocking balls down the line. And you're thinking, bloody hell. And then it's attack after attack and corner after corner. And then the winner comes from that man, Harvey Barnes. Jacob Murphy looked a lot more lively. He's up and down the line. He's looking hungry for it. Some rash crosses, but pace, some great defending by Leeds as well. I mean, Leeds United fans, you could hear them really loudly tonight. Massive credit to the Leeds United fans. Absolutely brilliant from them, making that trip up from Leeds, singing their hearts out. And what a football game they were watching as well. And they were probably thinking we deserve a point from St. James's Park here. But when you have a player that can do what Harvey Barnes can do in moments when you need it, and he's done it before. He did it against West Ham. He did it against Luton, season or two ago. And he gets the ball in the box. It's a lovely little 360 spin. And you just know in his mind, he's a finisher and he's thinking, I'm putting this in the bottom corner. He swivels, he hits it. It's in the back of the net. St. James's Park goes fucking nuts. It's 4-3. Harvey Barnes was my man of the match even before the winner, because I thought he ran his nuts off tonight. And how fitting that it is as well. All his talk before the game about how Gordon won't play on the right, Barnes will play on the right because he's taking one for the team and all of that. Harvey Barnes looked fucking sensational on the right and on the left as well. Gordon was in and out of this game. He had good moments, but Harvey Barnes was the man tonight for Newcastle United, and he is my man of the match by a country mile. Massive shout out as well. Lewis Hall was magnificent tonight. Joe Linton was brilliant tonight. Back to his best the last 3 games. Lewis Miley's a fucking Swiss Army knife of a footballer. That kid is just an unbelievable player. If I'm Thomas Tuchel and I'm watching that kid, this is not me being hyperbolic as a Newcastle fan. This is real talk as a football fan. If I'm watching a lad who can play right back, centre midfield, or centre half in a fucking game, if I'm Thomas Tuchel, I'm thinking about taking that kid to the World Cup, because if you have any injuries or suspensions, the kid can play 3 positions. He's 19 years old, man. What a player this kid is. Unbelievable. But Bruno Guimaraes and all with a penalty as well. Unbelievable, and played a huge part in the second goal for an assist. Just a fantastic game of football. Never mind the lack of control from Newcastle or Leeds. That was one of the best advertisements for the Premier League I think I've ever seen in my whole life of watching it. So let's get some of your comments while I try and breathe and come down from that recollection of this game. Channel Wright says, wow, best match ever, like a keen game. Absolutely, Channel Wright. And thanks for the super chat, bud. George says, Chow can't be blamed for that pen. If Miley was the captain of the Titanic, he'd Cruyff's in the iceberg. He fucking would, mate. What a player. Miley, wow. Says Papua New Guinea, absolutely, yeah. The ref was shocking. Says Phil Farr. I totally agree with that, man. I think the referee was dreadful. And he knew he was as well. You could see him apologizing to the players in the second half. Deepak Patel says Lewis Miley has greatness in him. He 100% does. I have never doubted that lad. Never doubted him whatsoever. He's incredible. Marcus says you'll never call him a kid again. He's fucking superb, Marcus, isn't he? George says Miley's like Maldini at right back, Gerrard midfield. Christ, if he put him up front, you'd be like Shearer. He walks on water. Get a statue built, mate. By the way, real talk. Kevin Keegan needs a statue for Newcastle United. I'll say this in my little video about Keegan as well. I'm not even talking about what's happening, of late. He needs a statue anyway. But, KK would have loved that game. I'm hopefully wherever he is and he's resting up and he's being looked after, he's watched that game tonight and he's enjoyed every single moment, because that's Kevin Keegan's essence in Newcastle United right there. Marky Mark said, love the never say die attitude from the lads. Well played, Leeds, by the way. Do you know what? You're right, Marky. How we've questioned these lads' mentality. We've questioned their grit, the desire to win games, to stay in games. They showed us that tonight. They really did. Every single one of them winning that game tonight for us, absolutely brilliant. And you've got to give it to the lads. Stephen says, what is it with Barnes 4 threes? Yeah, West Ham all over again. Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. He only scores goals, Harvey Barnes. That's all he does. Well, I'll have that every single day and twice on fucking Sundays. Oh, it's my mate Leeds fan, I must admit. I was texting my mate who's a Leeds fan through the game. And at the end of the game, he called him what the Leeds fans call him, Harvey fucking Barnes. That's what they call him because he always scores against them. And he said to me before the game, I guarantee you Harvey Barnes scores against us. So none of them Leeds fans will be surprised that Harvey Barnes has got the winner. They'll be fucking sick, but they won't be surprised. Antagonist saying the pen was shocking. Even Sky Sports was saying it. I didn't see the Sky Sports coverage at halftime. I was listening to the Toon Review, lads, while I was making myself a sauna, which was very nice, by the way. Ronaldo Carboni saying multiple times this season we've been in a position to jump high up the table and we lost the game. This is the first time we've won. Hopefully we can build some momentum. I've not even looked actually to see where the hell we are in the league. And the Mackems lost, didn't they? I think tonight. Let's have a look. Where are we? Standings. Where are we? Oh, 6th in the table. Get up there. 6th in the table. And 2 points behind Alexander Isak's Liverpool. Oh, yeah, he really traded up, didn't he? Really traded up. Young Grexy saying Fab looked in pain. Hope it's not serious. I fear it might be. Young Grexy, because it did not look a good one. I hope it's not, by the way, but it didn't look a good one. Good to see Botman back as well, though, as a side note. Again, Tagonite saying it showed pure heart from the lads to come back 3 times to win. Love it. Hopefully this will give them that platform to go on and express themselves in games, because when we play like that, we're an unbelievable side to watch. Guy is saying Cher showed amazing composure and a lovely bit of play to set up the counter for our second goal. He was great tonight. He got injured. That tackle as well on Dominic Calvert-Lewin when he got through was absolutely brilliant. He used every ounce of his experience in that. Absolutely incredible. Yeah, and Papua New Guinea says all-time classic game. Absolutely. 100%. Antagonist saying, what a game. Fuck me. Need to lie down. Ref was poor. Yeah, 3 points. 6 in the table. Come on. That's exactly what we want. Kev says Miley for England, 100%. Yeah, honestly, real talk. This kid can play in multiple positions. Why on earth would they not look at him? He's incredible. Joanne saying, what a fucking game. Fantastic. Hope Cher is okay. And me too, Joanne. That was a real bad looking injury, that. Leander saying, evening all. How was everybody after that ball fest? Shite game, that, wasn't it, man? Absolutely. George says, Chris, I hate to say it, but I saw the ankle in the replay and it was a break, I think. Oh, God. That does not sound good. That does not sound good at all. John Cook is saying, that was fucking mental. Barnes was so incredible tonight and deserved that when to get in where the lads. I thought Harvey Barnes was everywhere tonight. You know, I can't understand it. I was at a game with my mate Paul, the Palace game, and we were talking in the boozer, and people were saying that Barnes isn't quick. And I said, what are you talking about? Barnes is rapid, right? I saw Gordon got the ball on the break, and Gordon is like shit hot quick. And Barnes was right behind him, keeping up with that sprint. You know, Harvey Barnes is quick, man. He tracked back at one point and won the ball, but he had no right to either. And it was absolutely incredible. So you've got to give it to him. David Smith saying, what a result, Chris. True grip performance, 100%. Phil saying 6th in the table, Bournemouth next, and a new centre-back, please, for Cher. Yeah, that might be the case, I think. I think Lascelles might leave this window. Botman's back fit, but how long will that be? You know, so maybe we will bid for a centre-half. Cynical Jim saying Newcastle United will be the death of me. Absolutely cynical. Hope you're sitting down with a nice stiff drink somewhere to relax. George says Miley makes Steve Watson look one-dimensional. He really does. He absolutely does. Young Grexy saying, not like you would big up Miley, Chris. No, not at all. I've always thought he was shit, didn't I? Phil says, the PL was the winner tonight. Absolutely, mate. Marcus says, don't call Miley a kid, Chris. He's a man. I think he's more of a god at the minute, to be honest with you, Marcus, the way he's playing. Chris Thompson saying, this is why I have grey hair, a twitch and a drink. Absolutely, mate. Thanks for the super chat, bud. Graham is saying, what a game. I'm bloody knackered. I love games like that, especially when we come out on the winning end. As Paul says, they're just pure entertainment, man. Brilliant. That's why we love football, isn't it, guys? That's why we love football. When you watch games like that, you're off your seat. If you're in the ground, if you're in a pub, if you're watching at home, you're screaming at every single decision. I was screaming for Amadou to get booked 19 times in the game, and everybody was a shithouse from Leeds. And then just the elation with that winner is just absolutely brilliant, absolutely incredible. It really, really was just a brilliant, brilliant game. You know, as Mr. says, a great game, not good for your heart. Bruno was immense. Smiley is superb, and Barnes excellent on target. But let's give Leeds some credit too. Nice way to win side forth. I thought Leeds United were brilliant. You know, I said before the game, I said in the preview that Leeds have really picked up. Leeds have really started to play quite well in the Premier League. I think they were 16th in the table. They might still be now. Got a great draw against Liverpool, a good draw against Manchester United, and they started to show a lot more signs of confidence that they could stay in this league. And that there tonight, if Leeds United play anywhere like that, they're going to stay up in this Premier League this season. They were magnificent tonight. They showed up at St James's Park. They didn't bottle it. You know, they had a game plan. They were aggressive. They were strong in the press. They didn't let us have it our own way. You know, when we scored, they were at us again. They didn't just fold. And I thought they were brilliant tonight, Leeds. They really were. I've always had a soft spot for Leeds. I've got some mates who are Leeds fans as well, you know, and they like us as well as a club. There's a nice kind of mutual respect of the two clubs, I believe. But that was a brilliant game of football. Yeah, Leeds were excellent tonight. I hope they stay up because I love Leeds as a club, and they're a huge northern club, and I want them in the Premier League next season. Dan says Barnes starts on the fucking left from now on. Mate, you won't get the argument off me. Thanks for the super chat, bud. Golden Banjo says, fuck me, I need a bottle of whiskey. I think we all need a bottle of whiskey, mate. Absolutely. Yeah, Andy H says, fitting tribute to King Kev. That was entertainers all over again, 100%. Dave says, Miley, man of the match again. I can't keep giving it to Miley, mate. I'll be changing it to the Miley channel, I think. If people keep saying that to me, I tell you. Yeah, Golden DJ says the Sky commentary wasn't great. I was too busy engrossed in the game, to be honest with you. Link says, credit to Bruno, great penalty. It was a great penalty, it really was. I thought Wissa might have took it, to be honest. Was Wissa on? He was in the pitch, Wissa, wasn't he? He was standing on the edge of the box. But yeah, it was a great penalty. Pure Insanity says, Man of Ranger, absolutely, 100%. Julie says, mute the commentary, listen to TTR. That way you don't hear the sky melt. To be fair, I don't disagree with that, Julie. I think the Toon Review lads are amazing. To be fair, I hope Paul and Billy are sitting down after that, because, you know, that's probably, I might go back and watch that whole stream again to see the reaction of them two for those goals, because that'll be a spectacular viewing experience in itself, to be honest with you. We've got a new member there as well. Thank you very much. Is it Steve Vivian 8174? Thank you very much for clicking that button, mate. Welcome to Evermore. Miley the Magnificent says Gauss Stella. Absolutely. No, got an argument off me, mate. I'm one of Lewis Miley's biggest fans. Even when people were writing him off, I was bigging the lad up and saying how good he was. Attacking number 2 saying, holy Jesus, my heart. Absolutely. Ian says, can we buy keep in January? Well, funnily enough, Mark and I are jumping on tomorrow night live at 9:30, and we're going to do a transfer show about what we think Newcastle United need in this window, and that could very well be in the conversation, Ian. So come and jump in the comments, mate, and you guys tell us what you think we need in this transfer window. We're going to run through a few targets. We're going to run through key positions. So tune in tomorrow at 9:30. And we'll go through all of that. Amanda says, I just got bollock for waking up the entire house. I'm surprised I didn't, mate, to be honest with you. And even Mammy says it could have been 10-10. It really could have been. It was like a game of FIFA, wasn't it? You know, you're waiting for somebody to disconnect the controller and get pissed off and leave. Stephen says, fuck, what a game and a result. But please, I can't go through that again. Absolutely not. Barnes needs player of the match, says Phila. Yeah, he's got it off me. Absolutely. EM Ever Miley says Wombler. I'll just change it to the Lewis Miley channel. There is some weird fuckers on social media who pretend to be Lewis Miley. It's very odd. I think somebody on X who does it quite a lot. It's very strange. It really, really is. Watching from Australia, my little girl was cheering and screaming when the winner went in. A true hybrid Geordie. Well done, Matthew. I hope she's not watching this, by the way. If she is, apologies for the swearing, unless, you know, you don't mind a bit of that, mate. Some people don't, but we're on for kids normally. But I'm glad she enjoyed the game. That'll make her fall in love with Newcastle, like Keegan made me fall in love with Newcastle. So hopefully she will after that, mate. David says, we're leaving so happy with the 3 points from a roller coaster of a game. Wishing Fabi well. Absolutely, mate. We'll find out about that soon enough. Howard's quite honest with those things. If he thinks it's a bad one, he'll say it. And Julie's clicked that button. Thanks, Julie. That's a TTR mod VIP. So thank you very much, Julie, for clicking that button. Really, really appreciate that. Maverick Juggy says, wow. Something from the Almanac to take us all back in time. Credit to Leeds, but fantastic play from NUFC. How are the lads? Absolutely. Steve says, Paul told the viewers to head over to Evermore. Yeah, he does that quite a lot, Steve, and I appreciate him for it. The big man is a top man, so thank you very much. But if you're one of them, thanks for joining. George says, I put the Bairns to bed. Half an hour later, I woke the poor buggers up again. Absolutely. Yeah, Julie says, about time I joined. Well, more than welcome, Julie. More than welcome to have you on there. Titanium says, Premier League, saying that's the latest winning goal ever in the Premier League. Oh, well, we'll go down in history. That's perfect. And there is some very odd people on X, Julie. Yes, I don't post a great deal. I do back on for a couple there earlier. Mind you, call Lewis Miley the Swiss Army knife of a footballer, which he is. Liam says we need a CB. I think we do after that, to be fair. Can't rely on Botman's fitness. We don't know when Burns coming back. Scott says, Barnes, the comeback king, up the mags on again. Absolutely. We've got another new member in Links Rainbow. Thank you very much, Links. Appreciate that. And Marcus says there's been the Louis Miley Love channel for a couple of years now. Yeah, you know I'm a big fan of the lad. He's absolutely fucking brilliant. But, you know, games like that, you know, I'm very much a football purist. I live for the emotion and the joy of football. And certainly when you win, you love a game like that. When you lose, it breaks your heart. But that's what football's all about there. Passion, controversy, last minute winners, goals out of nothing, young players playing the multiple positions and being absolutely fucking class. That's what football is all about. I don't like to break it down too analytically when I'm watching a game like that, because I'm just caught up in the emotion and the moment of it. That's why we do the aftermath on the channel, because when you're in the emotion of a post-match, you look at things differently than you do a day or so later. But that game as a spectacle for the neutral was absolutely superb. I had mates texting me from London who don't even support Newcastle going, my God, this is one of the best games I've ever seen. And I said, not for me, I'm fucking dying here. And they were laughing, but it was an incredible game of football. It really, really was. And, and like you say, it was just fitting for all of the noise that was before the game, all of the news and the situation with Keegan. It was just fitting that game played out that way. And I'm sure that's what all the pundits will be saying. Burn the Heretic is saying, if Barnes is holding off for that Scotland World Cup spot in hopes of an England call-up, Tuchel must surely be considering him now, especially over Gordon's. I don't think he is. And if I'm Steve Clarke, I'm getting Harvey Barnes on the plane. I was born a Scot. So I've had the curse of being a Scotland international fan for many years. But that kid in a World Cup squad, fuck me. Get him on the plane, Steve Clarke, before somebody else tries to. Michael says, I've just woke up my Mackham neighbours. Well, that's perfect, Michael. That's excellent. The war flag should do you a flag just for that, mate. 6 stops. How good is Miley? How bonkers was that 6th? Do you know what? I've been saying on the channel for a while now that I wasn't sure we had it in us to get back to that situation where we were going to be in the mix, where we were going to be back in the fold for the European positions. I know the league is so tight because everyone's so inconsistent, but to get back to 6th, to play some beautiful football at times in that game and cut teams open like that at times in that game with the way that we've played and with players like Barnes on form. And I think I've been really frustrated with Howe about the whole Gordon Barnes thing, but I think he's starting to understand how influential Barnes can be for this team. And I think seeing what Harvey Barnes has just done tonight, there's not many other players in that squad who can grab that game and take that opportunity and win you that game when it's just back-to-back, end-to-end, goal. We'll score more than you. Barnes is a Keegan player. That's the best thing I can say about Harvey Barnes. He's a Kevin Keegan type player. He's a lad who shows up when you need him to and gets you that goal. And all of this bollocks about, all he does is score goals. That's what wins you football games, man. Without that kid's ability to score goals tonight, we don't win that game. I'm on here talking totally different. And, we're talking about, bad decisions or why did he leave that player on and all that kind of stuff, and just for me, I love players like that. And that's what I've always been a fan of what Barnes brings when he does stuff like that, and that was incredible from Barnes tonight. He deserves all the props that he gets. Nasty Best Dude is saying that was a proper Kevin Keegan game. Absolutely. Link says Barnes versus Gordon, no competition at the moment. Barnes all day long. For me, it is. That's why I did the video and I said, it's Barnes all day long. It absolutely is. Paul is saying, I'm exhausted. That was brilliant. It really, really was. Stephen says, that winner 4-3 St. James's Park, that's what it's all about. We can moan and whinge and, hey, I do these things, but that was an all-time Premier League classic. Shades of the game against Leicester in the 90s. I remember it well. Shearer's hat-trick when he took the fucking goal out of the net with that free kick. I remember that. It was absolutely incredible. It was laid back to him, but it was absolutely brilliant. It really, really was. Kai is saying, absolute classic, like, without a doubt. Credit to Leeds. Leeds were class. They were that game will get replayed for ages in the Premier League. And you look at the Premier League games, it's always us v Liverpool, isn't it? Or that Leicester game, or that 4-4 between, us and Arsenal when we come back into the game, that'll be up there as well with the best Newcastle United games in the Premier League. And Sky will be licking their lips that they had that live because that's incredible advertisement for the Premier League and for them. Sky Sports said it was the best game in Premier League history. Well, I don't know about that. I mean, the Liverpool game maybe might have been up there. New member for Mag50. Thank you very much, mate. My mate Tim's in the comments, utter chaos. Absolutely. Well, me and Tim had a good chat about Barnes versus Gordon, and I think we were both right, Tim, to be fair, mate. So thanks for jumping in the chat, mate. And Harvey Barnes all day long. Another Tim saying every single player gave 100%. The official was atrocious. Miley is tremendous. I mean, he's just a great player. Good footballers can play anyway. That's why the Paolo Maldini thing's getting thrown out there. And I know it sounds a bit mental and a bit hyperbolic, but Paolo Maldini was like that. He could have played number 6. He could have played as a second striker, and he still would have looked class because he was just a really class footballer. And that's what Ruud Gullit was like that as a player as well, a bit before my time. I saw the back end of his career when he came to Chelsea, and he was like, he was old as fuck, and he was playing sweeper, and he was the best player on the park. And that's what Lewis Miley seems to have in his locker. He seems to be able to play all these multiple positions. I just hope we don't fuck the kid around, because I liked him in midfield for the brief cameo. He plays a part in that second goal. That midfield of Joe Linton, him and Bruno, you saw that link up there. And Miley's got the confidence now to make those little dart and runs when he's in that position. Tonali was off it again tonight. I don't know what's happened there. I've heard some things. I can't say it. I don't want to say it. But, I don't think Tonali's head's right to be at this football club at the minute. But certainly, for me, City in the cup, would I start Tonali? I don't think I would. I think I'd play Lewis Miley in midfield. I really, really would. And I think I'd have Tino at right back. And then you're probably looking at Malik Chow and Botman, the way that the injuries are going. But, that's up to Eddie Howe. But yeah, for me, I'm just not entirely sure that I would play Sandro Tonali. I really wouldn't. Mike was saying, sorry, Chris, another late joiner. I'm still mentally fucked. Don't you worry, mate. Glad you kicked that button. Yeah, game of the season, says Tim. Absolutely. Keep his comments coming, guys. Absolutely brilliant. Clarky says, I missed it because of bloody work. Go back, watch it, Clarky. You will not be disappointed, my friend. What a game it was. And Phil says, nice to see the required half-time changes. No idea what happened to Chow tonight. Probably a bit of fatigue, Phil. But I think, and I agree with you, it's nice to see Eddie Howe making those quick substitutions, because as fans, whether you're at the ground, you're either in your seat talking about it, you're on a concourse having a pint talking about it, you're in the pubs talking about it either before or after the game. Normally, me and Mark were talking about over WhatsApp. We're saying Chow looks off of it. He needs to come off. I was saying Joe Linton's going to get sent off. He needs to come off. Tino needs to come on. Mile needs to go midfield. And it was refreshing to see Eddie Howe make that call and actually put them in the midfield, bring on Tino and bring on Botman and spot that danger. So that's credit to Howe. I've been hugely critical of Howe for not doing that, but I will give him credit where it's due. He did actually make that decision tonight, and credit to him for that. And if he's going to be a little bit more proactive like that, he can improve as a manager exponentially and stop people criticizing him, like me and other people, so hopefully he can do that. Mark's saying 756 in the chat and only 200 likes. Like and subscribe. Thank you very much, Marcus. Appreciate that, buddy. And yes, like and sub, says George. Thank you much. If you are new, guys, smash that button. It only takes you half a second. You won't lose the stream. Just click that button. It really helps the channel grow. Mickey says, go fund me for Chow. Need some studs. A couple of times on his arse. With Jacob Ramsey as well. What was the goal? The Leeds goal, wasn't it? Because it was Wissa had a poor layoff, I must admit. But every time I look at Jacob Ramsey, he seems to be falling over. I don't understand why. Do you know what I mean? Why is he falling over? A modern-day footballer with the footwear they've got. I don't understand it. But, maybe that's what it is. Maybe they need to work on the footwear, potentially. I don't know. But yeah, it was... thankfully, in the end, it didn't matter because it was a great result. David says, Chow, Tonali and Hall were poor. Share, Bruno, Joe Linton, Barnes, very good. Miley, excellent. I don't think Hall was poor, David. I know it's a subjective opinion, but I thought Hall, certainly in the second half when we were chasing the win, I thought Hall was on the ball quite a lot. He was, he was showing for it. Some of his corners were excellent as well. So, yeah, I thought it was good. At home, talking Tom yourself. Okay, mate. I don't know what that means. I don't know what you mean there. Gate says, rewatching the game again already. Absolutely, mate. Superb. Mark's in the chat, and just to add, my thanks to all the Super Chats new members tonight, and thank you for getting involved. Absolutely. See, Mark's in the background lurking while I'm clicking and chatting at the same time. That's how we do it. Clive Donald saying, remember Nobby's game against Leeds all years ago? Yeah, that was a 4-3, wasn't it? Didn't Dyer score in that game as well? I think that was the Ellen Road, wasn't it? That was a really good game. I do remember that very well. The comment from Young Gretchen saying, yeah, Howe called it right with half-time subs and the latest sub, to be fair. He really did. He really did. Another shout for the likes from Tim. Thank you very much. Appreciate that, Tim. Spot on, matey. Scroll down here, check a few more comments. We've got Dan Kane's Mags. It's crazy that Cher got hurt the game after his big 250. I know it was a real shame, wasn't it? I hope he's all right, but yeah, I do fear the worst there. Phila Gigi saying 3 mistakes from Chow, 3 goals recently. The burden of centre half is only 3 mistakes, where other positions get away with many more. I mean, I think Chow's been superb. I'm not going to judge him too harshly. We've got cover in that area, but I think he'd be back in. He'd be back in against City. Him and Botman will be the centre-half pair against City. Why not? He's got the pace to deal with Haaland. Did it well last time. I don't think Chow was in any danger of losing his space. I just think he had a bad game. And we brought Botman in. Millsy's saying that's why Barnes should start. Really hope Fab is okay. Didn't look good. I totally agree on both of those points, Millsy. You know how I feel about Barnes starting as well. Magpie saying, Chris, your thoughts on the scissor challenge on Fabs by DCL? I mean, I didn't think he went in with a scissor. I think they both chased the ball and the legs got a bit tangled. Magpie, maybe I need to go back and look at it again, but I didn't think it was malicious from Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I didn't think that way. I know he's a bit of a old-fashioned centre forward in many ways. He knows the dark arts, but I don't think he's gone to do Share there. I think they've both just gone for the ball. The Share and him are probably give as good as they've got to each other through the whole night. It's just unfortunate in terms of the legs getting tangled. Johnson, he thought Eddie got it spot on today for once. Today, I thought he lost it when he put Miley at centre half, but I was wrong. Yeah. I mean, you go, well, I think we should all just stop saying, why is he playing Miley there? It's just Lewis Miley, isn't it? We'll just, you'll be fine there. Do you know what I mean? We'll just let him play there. He'll be centre forward next week. Phil's saying I'd rather swap Alanga for Arneson. Yeah, seems a canny player. Me too. I thought he was an excellent player. Really good. Try to think who he reminded me of, the way he was running with the ball like that. It was very much, I'm trying to think who he reminded me of. I don't know if it was a touch of the Harry Kewells, possibly. Maybe think the Leeds back in the day. But yeah, he was out. It was excellent. Again, Worcester slipped too as well. Yeah. Maybe it was the water, possibly. Maybe they overwatered the pitch. Kev saying, just thinking the Leeds 3-2-4, 2001 too. Yeah, it was back in Bobby's days, wasn't it? It was a great time to be watching Newcastle United back then. Mighty Magpie saying, channeling the spirit of Teode tonight. Mighty looked immense. Barnstable Barnes at the double, absolutely. George says DCL wasn't going for that though, was he? No, I don't think he was. No, I don't think he was. Yeah, Mark says, bring back proper boots and proper studs. Absolutely. Kasapa, who's talking about Kasapa? I don't know who's talking about Kasapa. I might have missed something there a little bit further up, guys. I don't know what you're saying. What was saying here? Yeah, praying it's not a career ending injury for sure. I don't think it'll be that bad, to be fair. Puma Kings, George, classic boots, mate. Classic boots. Well said. I remember getting a pair of early Predators. We played a team against Ireland, and my mate stole them off some poor kid in Ireland, and they were just my size, so I nicked them. So that was good, and didn't help me too much. Me crossing was all right, but didn't help me become any better. But still, they were nice boots. But Umbros are my bad boys. Shearer Umbros back in the day, I think. Quite liked a bit of that, and some Diodoras now and again, I think. Droffy says Barnes for Scotland. Yeah, they'd be mad not to go for Barnes, in my opinion. Julie says Charles only had one bad game. Yeah, I totally agree with that, Jules. I think he's been brilliant. Kieran says the ref was a bit of a joke. Some of those calls, like, yeah, I thought he lost a little bit of control of it. Certainly after the handball, it all went mental, to be fair. It did calm down a little bit later on, but yeah, the ref could have lost that game even more than he did. Yeah, Tim Gill says Barnstormer, absolutely. That's the name of the show. Jake is saying Lewis Miley brilliant again. He really is. I'm losing track of how good this kid has become. I really am. Cushy says hi, Mark, in the background. Oh, a little shout out for Mark. You'll like that, mate. You'll make him smile. He's in the background somewhere, lurking in the shadows. Like Batman, but with a computer instead of a Batmobile. Phil is saying, it's just a reply to Kev. Sorry, let's have a look at some of these other ones. What we got here? No, you make yourself sound weird, mate. I'm just talking about you. Yeah, I'm totally joking. He's not weird. He's lovely as Mark, isn't he? Even though he looks like Biff from Back to the Future, he is great. Let's not start the lookalikes before he's somewhere in the background. I'll get Shaun of the Dead or Alan Carr or some shit off of him. Mike saying somebody needs to have a chat with the equipment manager. Yeah, absolutely agree with that. Another comment there from Lee Maggs. Newcastle always have the most iconic matches in the Prem. Yeah, we do have some belters, don't we? Big English says it's his birthday today. What a great present. Well, happy birthday to you, Big English. And 3 points is a great gift to be wrapped up, mate, isn't it? Because we all want a little bit of that, don't we? Just laughing at Mark. He's getting upset. Sorry, Mark. I'm only joking. You know I'm only kidding, mate. What else have we got here? Yeah, we've got another comment from Kendall saying, we deserved that. What a game. What a fight. Great attitude. Will keep us forward for the next game. 6th. Above Man U, Chelsea, and Sunderland. Oh, I'll say it again, Sunderland. The best team in the Premier League, by the way, weren't they, Sunderland? We've got a super chat in from John Elliott. Thanks, John. What a fantastic game of footy. The wife's in for a real treat tonight. Happy days. Up the tune and bring on Bournemouth. Well, you enjoy it, Mrs. Elliott. It sounds like you're in for a hell of an evening, to be fair. Harvey Barnes style for Big John. Get yourself away, mate. Yes, King Kev would be proud, Kendo. There is no doubt about that. He's absolutely class. Yeah, Mikey says J7 like a bulldozer at night. Suspect Buns has a DRS energy dial because they've ramped him up in the second half. Absolutely. I know what you're humming of, David, after that game. You don't even need to tell me anymore, mate. I already know. Cushy says 12 and beaten at home in a row now. Yeah, that's the thing. The stats are great. They really, really are. It is the FA Cup next, Kev, yes, which is Bournemouth at the weekend, which we'll be back doing the live post-match for that. Then it's City. I'm away for City with work. Boo. But yeah, Mark will be here with you on the post-match. I might be lurking in the comments myself, just causing mischief and hopefully Newcastle winning that game as well. Dean saying, I'm sure that Leeds will be fine this season. They were a really good game. Barnes was awesome, as was J7. Absolutely, 100%. Snaky Peterson's back now. It's good to see you, Snaky. I haven't seen you in a while. Big up Bruno's outside dink for Joe. That was absolutely fucking class, wasn't it? It was just, like I say, it was filth, man. It was absolutely filth. It was brilliant. Daniel saying, anyone absolutely think Pope's calms the nerves more than Ramsdale? Is it? He didn't calm my nerves when he come out looking like a demented giraffe again when the header hit the post. I don't know what the fuck he was doing with that one. I shit my pants with that one. I don't know who dealt with it. Was it Botman or Miley? One of the two did. But oh my days, I was shitting my pants with that one. Nick Pope scaring the life out of every single one of us. Lee says, would you rest a lot of players versus Bournemouth? Personally, yes, I would. I think the FA Cup, not that I want to lose any opportunities of silverware this season, but I think, dropping out the FA Cup wouldn't be the worst thing for Newcastle United. It really, really wouldn't, because we've got to concentrate on Champions League and the Premier League, getting back into the race for the Champions League positions and everything else. So yeah, it's to me, the FA Cup, you could maybe take a little knee on that, to be fair, which sounds a little bit mad, to be fair. Some crazy comments in here about Amanda Holden. Wow. She's not in the chat, by the way, and she's not coming on the channel. I might get more subs if that's the case. But yeah. Steven says, how did Miley stop the ball going out? I still don't know. Because he's fucking class is probably what it is. We've got a Liverpool fan in the chat. A nice Liverpool fan by the sound of it. Yeah, there is some of them, believe it or not. Thanks for joining the chat, Peter. Leeds are underrated at this point. I hope they stay up. I do as well, mate, because I want big northern clubs in the Premier League. That make me sound like a northern fucking monkey, all these southerners might. But I want big northern giants in the Premier League. I want Leeds United. I want Newcastle United. I want Manchester United. I want, Man City. I want Liverpool. I want Everton. I want fucking, I want Middlesbrough, Sunderland. I want all the northeast teams in the Premier League. I'd rather have more northern teams in the Premier League than too many southern teams, too many shit southern teams as well, for that matter, or some shit Midlands teams as well. Yeah, Phila GG says that the FA Cup was a bridge too far. I think it is. Kev thinks the Carabao Cup semi-final is too. Well, we said that about Arsenal, didn't we? And look what they went and did, So I think, with at this point, all bets are off. What we'll do is we'll just put Lewis Miley up front, and he might score a hat-trick and win us the game. What a better one than yours, Kev. There you go, man. That's what it was. Have some of that. I'm in a feisty mood tonight. I'm in a Harvey Barnes mood. Joe Litton is a beast. He absolutely is a beast. He's absolutely brilliant. Let's have a look. A couple of more comments, guys, and we'll call it a day, I think, because it's past 11. It's past the old bedtime. What else have we got here? Ewok says, I have to say, when it ended 3-2, I switched off. Oh, no, mate. I've been busy and accepted defeat. Jumped back in on 96 minutes, and I must say I was humbled. My housemates, some of them suddenly weren't happy, lol. I bet they weren't, mate. I bet they weren't. But, yeah, it's some of them games you do, man. You absolutely do. Middlesbrough too small for, I don't know about that. They've still got decent ground, and produce some good young players, them. Middlesbrough aren't a bad side, they can come up the Premier League. Fuck me, if Luton Town can come up where you got to walk through somebody's bookies to get to the fucking stadium, I'm pretty sure Middlesbrough would be okay. Yeah, I agree with you, John. Sending well wishes to Kevin Keegan, mate. Absolutely, 100%. Bruno is a Geordie, says, go to silly. Absolutely right. We'll do a couple more guys, and I'm going to jump off, as we say. Back to his best, says Dean. Absolutely, 100%. Peter again is in the chat saying that Farke is a perfect fit for the job. They play really good football. They are actually really grown into a good side. Tough as well. Strong, big, athletic. really tough team to play against. If Calvert-Lewin keeps that form, but they've got a good centre forward, and then get themselves maybe a bit of a playmaking midfielder and a good centre half, it could be a really, really good team, Leeds, if they stay up next season. Miley's unbelievable. The team has picked himself now, thank God. He's got to be in the team, Mark, hasn't he? Whether it's midfield or right back, he's got to be in the team. But Tino looked better tonight as well. Thought he looked sharp, to be fair. No, I don't know anything on Fabian Schär, unfortunately. We'll hear about that soon. Apparently Miley is going to goal next. Yeah, we said that as well. He'd probably keep a clean sheet. Big fucking Joe Linton, 3 stars. This isn't the Craig Hope channel, but he might get 3 stars on Craig Hope's channel. I'll be watching Craig afterwards because I do like Craig's take on the game. And I'd be shocked if Harvey Barnes isn't in there. He's a big Anthony Gordon fan, though, so we'll have to see what's going on with that. Water is wet, fire burns, and Harvey fucking Barnes scores goals. Kyle, that's a perfect way to end this stream, mate. What a brilliant comment to end this stream on, because it's called the Barnstormer. He's the fucking man. He scored the winner. All the talk about him and Gordon before the game was all there. It was all over the social media, all the little Gordon fans going, well, I think Gordon's great. He brilliant, does this, he does that. Harvey Barnes scores goals that wins you games. And Harvey Barnes won Newcastle United that game tonight, 4-3. Fucking brilliant from Harvey Barnes and the lads. A proper Keegan-esque game on a night where we found out Kevin Keegan is battling cancer, and all of our thoughts as Newcastle fans across the world. Doesn't matter if you're at a game or not at a game, everybody, a lot of football fans, Fulham fans, everybody else will be feeling the same thing. Man City fans, people who watch him who's the England manager, everyone wants Kevin Keegan to get better. But that game tonight was an absolute Keegan-esque classic, won by the Barnstormer, Harvey Barnes. Thanks for watching, guys. Remember to like and subscribe down below. Help the channel grow. Mark and I will be back with the transfer show tomorrow night. Come and join us in the chat. It's you guys getting involved as well as me and Mark talking about it. What do you think Newcastle United will need in the transfer window? What could we possibly get this transfer window in terms of money and everything else as the usual transfer chats go? But I need to lie down after that game. Have a brilliant evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. That is what we call football. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a belter. We'll see you later.
Celebrate. They have done it.